Now we will have 3 short presentations about the theme of towards quality. And the first will be from Arizona Muse. She's an American model, and she has a very interesting biography. She's not so old, but already a very interesting biography. She, as a model, she had to wear a lot of clothes, and one day she asked herself, yeah, but where do all these clothes are coming from? And what is the origin? Is it fair or is it good quality? Really, the question of quality. And out of this, she realized that farming is really one of the most important things on the earth to create clothes, to create food. So it's at the beginning of a lot of transformation, of processing, and so on. And out of this, she created the dirt foundation for the regeneration of the earth. And this regeneration of the earth should be done through biodynamics. So I already listened that she also wants to develop a line of clothes out of biodynamic cotton in the future, or maybe it's already working. So thank you very, very much, Arizona Muse, for your contribution. Very warm welcome to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here. I'm very excited. And I don't normally write down a speech. Normally, I just speak out of the heart. But this time, it felt right to write something down. And it flowed out of me. So I did. And I will be reading that to you now. I am an activist, founder of Dirt Charity, sustainability consultant, Ocean's ambassador for Greenpeace, advisory board member of the Sustainable Angle, as well as advisory board member of the newly formed Biodynamic Demeter Alliance in the USA. I am also a mother who has spent most of her professional life as a model. My name is Arizona Muse, and I'm going to tell you my story. In my school days, I went to Waldorf in the US, first in Tucson, Arizona, and then in Santa Fe, New Mexico. My first visit to a biodynamic farm was when I was 10 years old with my 4th grade class. It was called Beneficial Farm. I grew up and became a model. It seemed exciting to me to go and work in the frivolous industry of fashion in all the biggest cities in the world. And I got very lucky. It went well for me. I have modeled for most of the important fashion houses whose names we all know, and the magazines that dictate the industry. I was a favorite of some of the world's most famous photographers and stylists, hairdressers, and makeup artists. After climbing this ladder for many years, I had a big realization that I knew very little about where the clothes I was modeling came from, nor who made them. I didn't know enough about the clothes I was helping to sell. This realization was the beginning of my self-education journey, the most fascinating and eye-opening journey I've ever been on. I started researching the fashion supply chain, and what I learned, as we all know, was horrific. At the beginning, this looked like me sitting in my living room on my own, reading books and reports, listening to podcasts, watching documentaries, and obscure YouTube videos taken on the ground in factories. The waste, the toxic chemicals, the rape, and the degradation of humans, the vast majority of whom are women, was brutal to learn about. But I needed to know. It's a lot to take in at the beginning, and sometimes I would have to close my laptop or the book I was reading. But I would soon open each back up again because I felt like it was my responsibility to know. These were things I simply couldn't unsee, and I had to keep learning. Then I started to share what I was learning, speaking on panel discussions and turning my social media channels into educational zones to help to inspire change. Because personally, I found that learning what I've learned, in spite of its tragic nature, is the most exhilarating journey I've ever been on, because there are solutions and there are good people doing amazing work all over this beautiful earth. I couldn't help but notice, no matter which way I looked at it, the root to every strand of this story was always soil. Why had I never stopped to say, thank you, farmers, for growing my clothes for me? I realized that there is an immense disconnect between the fashion industry and the soil from which everything we need is grown. At this point, I was about 29 years old, and my wise mother suggested that I go back to biodynamic farms to learn about soil. So I did. In Massachusetts and upstate New York, on Threshold Farm, Hawthorne Valley Farm. And then in the UK at Tablehurst Farm and Plawhatch Farm, Heckfield Place and Ruskin Mill Trust. I fell in love with biodynamics, rooted in my childhood and now blossoming in my adulthood. The conversations I had with farmers who graciously brought me into their lives and shared their endless knowledge with me, who spoke to me in a way that I hadn't experienced before, very unlike the city folk I was interacting with usually, a slower, more measured and grounded flow of communication that came from somewhere deep within and without simultaneously. This sense of humility and understanding influenced me tremendously, and I knew then that I needed to channel my activism toward biodynamics as a way to alleviate the stresses of our changing climate on humanity, biodiversity, water, and the earth. The action I took was to start DIRT, Foundation for the Regeneration of Earth. DIRT is a charity that supports the biodynamic farming movement. DIRT operates with the intention to raise funding and awareness for and about the biodynamic farming movement. Thank you, everyone who works with biodynamics, for your energy and your time. The force that is biodynamics is powerful, and you have made it this way. Thank you for welcoming me in as a newcomer to the biodynamic movement. I love it here so much. DIRT is also here to connect biodynamics with a demographic of people who may never have found biodynamics otherwise. People in cities, working in the extreme conditions that progress and development have brought to us. Indoor families who for generations haven't truly experienced nature and therefore cannot value her being. DIRT will help to invite them to find biodynamics and the richness it can offer in life. One thing I'm hearing reverberated around our movement is the need for communication and marketing. I want to assure you, I don't like those words very much either. They have been chewed on by capitalism for decades, and they no longer carry integrity in their meaning. However, if we use our own words to describe what I'm hearing, we could say that the biodynamic movement is eager to express itself to the world. Biodynamics is a gem of a solution to climate change and social renewal. It is desperately needed now. Can we imagine for a moment a clock that is counting down? Perhaps it says we have 9 years left until a tipping point is reached based on global temperature rise and atmospheric carbon levels. Perhaps the truth is I, because I'm privileged and white, have longer than almost anyone else before I feel my climate changing. There are others, billions of others, who have less than 9 years before their lives are changed dramatically. And there are still others in the millions who have already run out of time, whose lives have already been devastated by climate change. One of the most horrendous examples is that of the climate migrants from the region around the Aral Sea. Desertification set in because the sea and its tributaries were drained to irrigate. To irrigate what? Cotton. Genetically modified, chemically sprayed cotton sourced by the fashion industry to clothe ignorant people like myself. We are all a part of this story. It concerns anyone who has ever eaten food, worn clothes, or used a beauty product with grown ingredients in it. For anyone who has sat in the seat of a car, train, or plane that was made from leather. Even the wood in our houses and chairs came from the forests that are managed on living soil. Farming provides us with everything we need, not just the food we eat. I see immense opportunity for the biodynamic movement. We can bring love, quality, and experience to land all over the world. We can encourage populations everywhere to reduce their emphasis on the division of countries and borders, and instead think of bioregions that make sense, rather than lines drawn on a map that usually suit very few, perhaps nobody at all. I would like to imagine a future where the goodness of biodynamics weaves its way throughout the world, so that all hospitals can find their patients, so that all hospitals can feed their patients with nutritious biodynamic food and lay them in beds furnished with biodynamically grown sheets and pillows. A future where all developing young minds and bodies are connected to the farms that nourish and clothe them, so children can have strong relationships with nature. Let's dream big and act bigger to make these dreams of ours a reality. Biodynamics offers so many solutions for degraded lands and communities. Biodynamics can compost better than most, so why can't it be the solution for scars in the earth caused by mining, or for the effluent cleansing of the toxic mess that sits in sludgy lakes around factory sites? There are numerous strategic ways in which biodynamics can aid governments as they start to arrange their climate mitigation strategies in a stronger way than ever before. As the effects of climate change are already being felt,
Los efectos del cambio climático.
The crisis is no longer theoretical. An emergency is looming. Everybody recognizes that now. We are still in a political and commercial landscape where solutions on a grand scale are few and far between. Biodynamics is already a well-established global movement with nearly 100 years of practice and drawing on thousands more years of human experience in the form of indigenous agricultural techniques and understanding. So the question we can all examine is, how can we unwrap biodynamics in a way that cultures all over the world can absorb it, so that it can be eagerly adopted into land care programs, personal, commercial, and political alike? Because this is what our dear Earth needs. Thank you so much for listening. My name is Arizona Muse, and DIRT is the organization that I founded in 2021 to support biodynamics.
Yeah, thank you very much. We have really a wonderful ambassador for the biodynamic movement. So to give us such enthusiasm and such, really, sometimes we make ourselves a little bit too small, and so it was wonderful that we get this opening and this widening through your presentation. So thank you very much, and all the best for your work. Thank you.